All right, guys, welcome back to Fight News. Today we're with
Mayweather.
Jeff Mayweather, and I thought it would be super interesting to have him on and just ask him firsthand, because I don't think anyone's ever done a video like this, but I just want to ask every question related to, about like what a normal amateur boxer or pro boxer would ask you if they had the chance. So I have a list of questions. We're just gonna go through it and get a pen and paper, because this is gonna be boxing knowledge gold for anybody that wants to do something with their career, whether they're doing it for fun or want to take it serious and become a world champ. So yeah, let's just get into it. So my first question is, what's the biggest mistake most boxers make in their training or when they start training?
I think the biggest mistake is actually thinking that you know what you're doing
Right.
when you don't know what you're doing. And sometimes you have people that go against their coach and I think the most important thing is that you need to be disciplined. You got to be disciplined, and the person that you chose to be your trainer, you need to take their advice and take heed from what they're saying, because at least they know more than you do.
Right.
I'm not saying that, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that every coach and everything that a coach says is right, but that's part of being a fighter. Is you do have to listen. You do have to listen to your corner, because your corner is the ones that are going to be the ones that try to save you and try to get you to where you need to be.
Seems like in every gym there's always that one guy that walks in all arrogant, that doesn't know what he's talking about, but he acts like he does. And
So you're saying everyone?
so basically, humble yourself and really allow yourself to actually absorb what's being taught, and don't sit there and act like you know what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Okay, I like that. If someone wants to be great at boxing, what's the number one thing they need to focus on?
First thing that comes to mind is a slogan that my nephew has been using almost ever since he's been boxing: hard work, dedication.
Yeah.
I think that in itself is the best thing there is if you want to be a boxer, is to be dedicated and work as hard as you can.
In your eyes, what does that look like to you? Is that getting up every day running? Like, what does hard work and dedication mean, like to the Mayweather name?
Basically, yes, it's making a sacrifice. And when I say making a sacrifice, you have to fall in love with what you're doing. And when I say fall in love, I'm talking about, it means sometimes even more than your girlfriend, more than your best friend, even though that they're probably there for your benefit and want to see you do great. But the reality is this: you have to have tunnel vision and work as hard as you can, because it's not easy to be a champion. It's not easy to be. This boxing is a deadly sport.
Yes.
It's a sport that you could actually die in. And you need to make sacrifices, and it's hard work, dedication. That's, like I said, that's the most important thing, is that you gotta love this more than you love anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, it's simple, but yeah, I totally agree with that. How do you know if someone has the potential to become a world champion? Is there something you see in them when they're training? Is it their attitude? Like, what stands out from all the people that you've seen become a world champion to all the people that you've seen come in and not really, maybe they wanted to become a world champion, but something about it led them down a path that didn't allow that to come to fruition?
First thing, with your coach,
Yeah.
and believing in your coach, it's got to become your girlfriend,
Yeah.
your best friend. So a lot of the things that I've already said have to apply to
Yeah.
for you becoming a champion.
Right.
Because being a champion is not easy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
What's the most important skill in boxing? Power, speed, or defense? If you had to pick one of the three.
If I had to pick one of the three, I would say defense.
Okay.
Because power, a lot of people would pick power because power,
Just
usually means knockout.
Yeah, yeah.
But with defense, if you have great defense, you can negate it, because you don't really get hit. You don't get hit.
Yeah.
I would say defense.
Okay. And that's what made Floyd so great, would you say? Like, was that his number one attribute, was his defense? He had it all, but yeah, I think this defense was sort of his.
Yeah, defense was what made him what he was. Because you could have speed, you can have power. I think defense is the one thing that keeps you yourself when you get into the game
Yeah.
and you walk out of the game.
Right.
You still have your faculties.
Yeah.
If you have defense, but if you just go in there and just bang away all the times, I mean, there's going to be some type of boxing dementia, or slur of speech, something like that will probably happen.
Yeah. Well, that's probably why you're so like mentally still there and all that. It's probably because of your defense. Would you
Just,
say?
I mean, yeah, I was a good defensive fighter. I was a good defensive fighter. I had great speed. I just didn't have no power.
How should a beginner structure their training week?
You have to listen to your coach. I mean, they're going to structure, what you need to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that you got to have a balance. Even as a coach, you have to balance. Like, okay, you run maybe every other day, because I mean, you don't have to run every day.
Yeah.
In those days that you're not running, you should be doing a lot of stretching, a lot of
Like strength work and stuff.
yeah.
Okay. What's the best way to improve footwork, or what's your go-to way? How did you train footwork?
Footwork is fairly easy, but then you have some people that just can't. But I mean, the thing is that basically, I think that if you can get on if you're not a person that's flat-footed, you could actually learn how to, dance on your toes.
Yeah.
Because basically, when you're flat-footed, it's a little harder. It makes you look clumsy.
Yeah.
But I think that because basically it's just like, I mean, I guess I don't really know how to explain it. But basically, it's just you're on your toes and you're just moving.
Yeah.
So I mean, and then of course, I mean, moving is one thing. But you become a complete fighter when you get your defense and your other things that go along with it.
It's funny. My coach back home in Virginia, he would put on like Spanish music to develop rhythm, to have good rhythm. And so I would shadow box and just move around listening to the music, because it sort of gets everything in sync. And just listening to the music over time, like, it seems weird at first, but over time, your footwork actually gets really good, because you get so used to, going by a certain rhythm.
That's true.
And so that's
a good.
that's one thing.
That's
Yeah.
a good way.
Yeah. Okay. How often should boxers spar? And how hard should they spar?
Some fighters don't know how to spar, and I think that
Ego sparring.
if you're a person that don't want to go to war all the time, leave that person alone.
Yeah.
But because boxing is, sometimes you just come to work, sometimes you do want to just be the beast of the gym.
Yeah.
But I think that, like I said, I think you should spar probably every other day.
Every other day?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
If it's light enough, every other day?
Yeah, I mean, now if you're going to war,
That is right.
no, I would say, then I would probably say maybe 2 times a week. But if you're sparring just to learn your craft, yeah, every other day.
Dang. Okay.
Every other day is fine.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's going to make you learn a lot faster.
Yeah. Especially if you're not fearful of getting hit with some absolute bomb. You feel like you can actually try stuff out,
Right.
and get used to, moving around how you should. Oh, dang! I need to step it up then. I need to step it up then. Ooh, what's a common mistake people make when they're trying to improve their defense?
A lot of people have a tendency to drop their hands.
Yeah. Or try to emulate the Philly shell,
Yeah,
and they don't actually know how.
yeah, that happens too. But I think the most important thing that happens is a person drop their heads, or they're not comfortable with their heads being in a certain position.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is protecting your chin. Your chin that controls everything.
Yeah.
Once you get hit on that, you don't necessarily going to get knocked out or anything, but sometimes that's when people get knocked out, is when they get hit on the chin.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
leave themselves exposed.
yeah, so you want to protect that as much as you possibly can.
Okay. All right. This one's a little controversial. It seems like people sway one of two ways. Is road work, like long distance running, still necessary, or is sprint training better?
I think distances.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I think that because that's what I was taught, and
Yeah.
that's the only thing that I know that worked. Of course, I mean, you can sprint, but sprinting to me doesn't build endurance.
Mm.
Sprinting is, but one thing good about sprinting is that when you're in a fight and you have at a fast pace,
Yeah.
sprinting helps for
Yeah.
that. But I think that endurance, the more miles you run, I ain't gonna say you gotta run a ton of miles, but basically, because I mean, I didn't run a whole bunch of miles. I mean, sometime the most I ever ran was once I ran 10 miles, but for when I was boxing, the most I ever ran was 5 miles.
Okay.
And then and I didn't do that every day. After that, I started running 2 miles,
Yeah.
every other day.
And so you'd say that the long distance running is sort of, that's what's going to keep your endurance overall
Yeah.
in good shape. Round 7, round 8, round 9, when you get into the later rounds, you really got to, pull into that fuel tank. And I guess if you're not putting in long distance runs, probably have nothing left after a few rounds. How do you build confidence in the ring?
I don't know if you can build confidence. I mean, confidence is something that either once you get in the ring and you do something that you didn't even know you were capable of, gives you confidence.
Yeah.
But I don't think a person that doesn't have confidence, I think that's the only way that they can build confidence, is that they have to prove to themselves, hey, I can do this.
Yeah.
Because if not, like I said, boxing is a deadly sport. People forget that.
Yeah.
People don't realize that you can get killed in the ring.
Yeah.
And I've seen two guys die in the ring. And I sparred with one of them.
Really?
Yeah. And basically, I mean, it was just sad to see.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and the one thing is that if you don't have confidence, I mean, it's probably not gonna work for you.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang.
So if you can't find something in your own ability to say, hey, this is all right,
Yeah.
leave it alone.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, because I mean, if there's something that you may want to do but you can't actually do, I mean, not just for boxing, that's for anything you choose to do. If you feel that you're not confident enough to do it, you got to give yourself a chance and see how it works.
Yeah.
If it works for you, yeah, let's do it. If it don't work for you, leave it alone.
A good follow-up to that is, how do you bounce back from a loss or maybe a really bad sparring session? Because it can totally just mess your psyche up.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So do you have a go-to way to sort of bounce back, or maybe something you advise your fighters to sort of, like, what frame of mind should they have when it comes to that?
I think the one frame of mind is that basically, I mean, every day that you walk into the gym, you're not going to be 100%. You're not going to be the beast you thought you was. I mean, it happens. It happens to everyone. I mean, there's a lot of fighters. I mean, even the greatest fighters in the world have lost to guys in sparring.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But the thing is that basically, but sparring don't count. That's how you bounce back, because it's nothing but sparring. It doesn't count for anything.
Yeah.
And that it doesn't count for anything. But, mentally, you go back, do whatever you feel you need to do to come back and get it right.
So you just got to constantly remind yourself, because I mean, it's going to creep into your mind anyways, but as long as you're reminding yourself, hey, this is sparring,
Right. Cool it. Yeah.
right?
Sparring it don't count for anything.
Yeah. What's the best way to deal with pre-fight nerves?
I'm going to tell you something about that, because the one thing is this. I think that if you're not nervous when you walk out into that ring and you got somebody else in that ring that's coming out the other corner that wants to tear your head off, if you're not nervous, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
But the reality is this. The first punch that's thrown, your nerves are gone. They automatically leave, because basically, and that's how I used to be. I used to be nervous until I get in the ring, and as soon as the first punch is thrown, It's a fight.
Yeah, it's game time.
Yeah, he trying to hurt me.
Right.
Look at that. I mean, I gotta try to hurt him.
Yeah.
So basically, I mean, that's basically how you deal with that.
Yeah.
You definitely just, at that first punch, I mean, I'm not nervous no more. Fighting, do it.
What's the smartest way to fight a taller opponent?
I would say practice a lot on your head movement. You don't want to be overly aggressive, but the one thing that you do have to do is basically you want to throw overhand.
Overhands?
Yeah, you want to throw overhand punches.
Okay.
Because, I mean, basically, they're punching harder than you because they're punching down.
Mm-hmm.
But you can blind them with like overhand right, overhand left, whatever hand you are.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of tall guys don't, you can catch them with that.
Yeah.
So that would be your best option,
Mm-hmm.
is just to be able to throw overhand punch. You can fake it to the body and then go over the top, or
How do you handle someone that just keeps pressuring you?
consistently use your jab. Your jab got to be consistent. I mean, if a guy's aggressive, and especially if he's aggressive and he's not moving his head,
Mm-hmm.
he's there to be hit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the jab would be the best weapon for a guy that's aggressive, that's, just pushing you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would say the jab is the most important weapon you can use.
Yeah. You think counterpunching too?
Counterpunching is good as well, because, I mean, basically, that's what you also want. You want for him to throw punches in so that you can counter.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
I mean, but the one thing is that jab is the most important weapon.
Okay.
That's the most important weapon you can use in boxing.
Yeah.
Period. But for aggressive guys, it's the best thing you can do.
Yeah. Have a sharp jab.
Keeping them at bay.
Okay. What's the best way to set up a knockout? Did you have like a go-to setup for a knockout?
People say that they can set up a knockout. You can't really set up a knockout. If that punch lands. If it don't land, you gonna have a decision.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Mm.
I mean, you can't just say, "Oh, I'm gonna knock this guy out," and you can say and predict how you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Because the way you're gonna do it is basically doing what you normally do. It's not like you can predict that, "Oh, I'm gonna knock him out with a right hand," or "I'm gonna knock him out with a hook." No, with the punch land, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't think that there's no truth to the person that's saying that they can knock somebody out just because they want to.
Yeah. So basically, don't be looking for the knockout. It's going to happen if it's going to happen.
Yeah, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen.
Yeah. What's the number one mistake fighters make later on in the rounds?
And as the rounds grow, as they go, you probably get a little tired, probably a little winded.
Yeah.
And and the most important thing is that you still got to keep those heads up.
Yeah.
I think your defense got to get better
Mm-hmm.
as you're tired, rather than because some guys get tired and they become a punching bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to keep your defense tight.
Yeah. So you got to be even more cognizant of, I am tired, and
Right.
if I don't pay attention to it, I'm going to get caught with something.
Right.
And I guess like the prerequisite or whatever to that would be make sure your cardio is on point, so you don't get tired.
Right.
How do you adjust when your original game plan isn't working?
You should always have more than just one game plan.
Yeah.
Once your game plan isn't working and you don't have a backup plan, chances are you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
But every fighter should have something else other than just one thing that they're depending on to win a fight.
Yeah.
So I think you just gotta find it within yourself. I mean, in the ring, you just gotta find it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's an answer for that question other than you have to find it.
Yeah.
You're in the ring. You're the one that has to find that what you need to do to change and make things better for yourself.
Basically the ability to adapt.
Yeah,
No matter what.
definitely.
And that's one thing that I feel like Floyd was so good at, is his ability to adapt to any fighter.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's a lot of fighters that can adapt really well, because the one thing is that kind of like with Floyd was the type of fighter that he would try something. It was almost like he had a library.
Yeah.
Of options to pick, to change. Okay, well, this is not working. Let me try this. This not working. Let me try this. And then he finds the thing that works and you stick with it.
Yeah, so he had plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I like that. So,
I mean, that's a lot of fighters have that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Floyd is just, everybody knows that, he's one of the great fighters. But,
yeah.
But there's a lot of fighters that, have plan A, B, and C, and D.
Yeah.
And even more than that, that's the key to, when you get yourself in a tough fight. Yeah.
For sure. Cool. We'll stop it there. I mean, that was a ton more that we could keep going with, but if you want to see a part 2 or if you want to submit your own questions, make sure to comment them below on this video. Plenty more advice that we could get into, but this video is going to get super long. So if you want to see it again, make sure to like this video, make sure to subscribe,